Hola chicos! Today's notes are going to be on gender and pronouns, so make sure that you have your stuff ready to go and that you are writing specific examples so that you remember how to use these grammar rules in context. Alright, let's go! The nouns have gender and it can be masculine or it can be feminine. However, they do not follow the rules that we think of as gender, okay? It's not about is a girl using this or a guy using it. There's a different rule. So I'm going to give you a list of words here for you to figure out. Hit pause on the video and then hit play again when you're ready to see those answers. All right, so we have number 1, camisa, hijo, palo, pizza, botella, sirena, and cine. All right, so let's look at those answers. So the first one we have is camisa, and that one is actually feminine. Number 2 is masculine for hijo. Number 3 is masculine as well. Number 4 is feminine. Number 5 is feminine. And number 6 is also feminine. Now, number 7 is actually masculine. Before we keep going, go ahead and take another guess. Did you have the right rule, or do you think it's going to have to be something else? So, how do we know? Because guess what? It's all about the ending, okay? The ending will tell you if it's feminine, if it ends in an A, an ION, a Z, or a D. If it ends in pretty much anything else, it's going to be masculine. So why does gender even matter? Well, the gender of the noun lets you know which the you're going to need, because in Spanish, there are 4 different versions of the depending on the gender. All right, this also tells you which ending of the adjective you will need. So for example, we have here the cold pizza. Now, remember that the noun that we're focusing on here is pizza, so that's what's going to tell us what gender it is, if it's feminine or masculine. All right, so first let's determine the. Now, there are 4 versions of the that we can do. El, la, los, las. The first thing we need to decide is this word here, pizza. Is it singular or is it plural? Well, it doesn't have an S at the end, so we're talking about singular. There's one pizza. So it's going to have to be the first section, el or la. Next thing that we need to figure out is, does it end with feminine or is it ending with a masculine ending? Well, pizza ends with the letter A, so that means it's going to be feminine. So la is what we use. So as we're translating our sentence here, we're adding la. Pizza is a cognate, so we don't have to translate that. Now, cold in Spanish can be frío or fría. Again, right? Does it end with a feminine ending or a masculine ending? Well, pizza ends with feminine ending, so we're going to go with the feminine ending here for cold, which is fría. And that's why gender is important, or at least knowing gender in your noun is important, because it helps you figure out the and the adjective that you may need. Now let's move on to pronouns. So we have 6 different pronouns in Spanish. This little chart here that you have, if you're not familiar with it already, you're going to get familiar with it, because this is really how we talk about conjugations and anything that is related to conjugations or tenses, okay? So we have 6 different pronouns. The first one being yo, which translates to I, or when I'm talking about myself. Tú, when I'm talking about you. And when I'm talking about he, it's él. Now, does that one look familiar? Yeah, because we also said that was the, right? Except there's one difference. This one has an accent on it. So that is one tiny little thing that could change the meaning of your word. Él with an accent on it is referring to he. Él without an accent is the. Context also helps you with this, but that's why accents are so important in Spanish. All right, the other one here is she, which is ella. And if you're talking about you formally, instead of using tú, if you're talking to your boss or a teacher or something, you would use the word usted instead. With él and ella, you do have to think about gender. However, with everything that's changing in society and stuff, some people are actually leaning more to talking about using usted instead. There's a lot of different things going on with that. So far, there's nothing that has been used throughout, like it's the rule now. All we can really do right now is try to be inclusive, just because we do want to be accommodating to the LGBTQ community. But grammatically, él or ella is referring to he or she. Typically, we refer to the masculine whenever we need to talk about all genders, and so that could also be done that way. Then on the right side here, we have nosotros, which means we or us. It's who we're referring to. Vosotros, which is you all or y'all. It is important to know that the vosotros is there. There's also the vos when you're talking about you. But again, that is dependent on which country you're in. There are certain regions that use this one. It's not used throughout though. And then we also have ellos and ellas, which is they or them, talking about a group, right? And in Spanish, it's ellos or ellas, depending on the gender. If it's a group of women, then it's ellas. If it's mixed genders, it's ellos. All right. So one thing to note is here on the left side, we're talking about singulars, okay? We're talking about one person. So I'm talking about you, I'm talking about he or she, or I'm talking about myself. There's only one person. If I'm talking about plural, if I'm talking about a group, then I'm going to use the right side of the chart, which is where we're using we, y'all, or they, okay? And that's a good way to remember too, that if you're sticking to one section, so for example, in a conversation and I'm asking you how you're doing, I'm not going to use y'all or they or them. I'm talking about you specifically. So with conversations, we usually stick to the left side. So that's another tip there to remember. The left is singular, the right is plural. Eso es todo para hoy. Thanks for joining us today on the lesson on gender and pronouns. Stay tuned for more lessons to improve your Spanish skills. Hasta luego.